Okay, so let's start writing our pre-processing function. So the first thing I will do is to set the name of the pre-processing function. So I'll say transform module file. I'll just name the pre-processing function transform.py, right? So let's just start writing our pre-processing function. So I'm just going to use the magic commands write file. So in this case, whatever I'm writing in this cell will be written to the transform.py file. I don't need to open another editor to write my preprocessing function. So let me just write this here. So let me run that and run that. Now if I go to this file here, so you have our transform.py and you can see whatever I wrote in that cell has been written. So let's just go ahead and keep writing. So we are going to use TensorFlow for the preprocessing, and then we also use TensorFlow Transform um, for in some of the stuff. So let's go over and see TFT Transform. Yeah. So yeah. So if I open TensorFlow Transform, so you can see it has a lot of features. So you have bucketize, bag of words, mean, max. Yeah, so most of the functions for pre-processing your data and performing feature engineering are in TFT. So you can use TFT for a lot of pre-processing tasks. And so let's go ahead and import TensorFlow. And yeah, it's good to read documentation for some of these things. You don't really need to keep um, all the functions in your head. So TensorFlow transform as TFT, right? So the first thing I want to do is to get a list of my stop words. So stop words, and I have made a list of most of the most common stop words that you can find. So I'm just going to copy that and put it here, and I will leave a link to um, these stop words on the page, so you can just go to that link and then just copy those stop words. You don't need to type all of it. And yeah, and I mean, to make things easy, if you just go to the the GitHub repo, so the notebook in the GitHub repo would contain the stop words. So you just have to copy those stop words and then just paste it in your code. Yeah. So the next thing we're going to do here is to specify our label. So what is our label? So I'm just going to say label key. So the label key is what we are predicting, right? So we are predicting the sentiment. So if you go back here, the the feature. So the feature is our review is the movie review, and then our what we are predicting is what the rating. So we have to go back here, and then the label key is what rating, right? And then because we are transforming the features, I don't want to overwrite the 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 original feature, so I want to give it a different name, which is so we will rename all our transform features. So I'll just say renaming transformed features, And here I'm just going to use a Python function. So I'm just going to say transformed name, and then I'll provide a key, right? So the key is the name of the column that we are transforming, whether it is review or whether it is rating, right? So I'll say key equals to, so I'll just say return. So I'll just return key plus yeah, so I'll just add this this thing to, so this xf to the key name, just to show that, oh, this is the transformed key, right? So as I said, our transform.py should contain a pre-processing function. If you go back to the transform component, it said it has to have a pre-processing function in your transformation or file. So you define all your, so this pre-processing function is a must. You must have a pre-processing function. It's a mouthful in your transform.py file. So we define the transformations, right? So we say def, and you cannot change the name of this pre-processing. This how it's because the transform file is looking for this function. So you have to spell it out this way. You can't name your pre-processing function anything you want. It has to be named this way. So inputs, right? So then, what are we pre-processing? So obviously your preprocessing function should also have an output. So the output is what you preprocess. So we just name it outputs, and it has to be a dictionary. So because we are dealing with a key and a value pair, right? So our key will be ratings, or our key is review, right? So if I go back to the example, so either review, so key, and then we have a value pair. So it's like a dictionary. So if your key is rating, then it's 1 or 0. If it's a review, then it's the actual review. So let's initialize our dictionary. And then the first thing we want to do is to lower, change all the text into lowercase. So we have outputs, and I said I want to transform all the feature, all the columns that we preprocessed. We want to give it a new name. So create a different column that does not overwrite the old one. So we say, so we will use the transform features function. So I'll say transformed name, and then review. Right. So this output over here would now be called review xf. So what do I want review xf to be? I want to, so let's go back to no, we don't need to go back. So first I want to change all my reviews into lowercase. So TensorFlow has a function which is called strings dot lower, and then he says converts all uppercase characters into their respective lowercase replacements. So we have to provide our input. So what is be an input? So our inputs will be inputs dot review. So what this inputs parameter does is, when I pass our transform.py to TFX Transform, it's going to take all the TF examples from example gen, and then your inputs would be your column name. So if I say inputs review, it's just going to take the review column, which is the all our reviews, and then pass it here, right? So inputs review would take all the reviews from our example gen component and then pass it through the function, right? Okay, so just by doing this, we have transformed all our um, text into lowercase. So I'm just going to do something. So let's see if it works. So first, let's return our outputs, right? So obviously, because it's a function, you need to return something. So then let's just save this, and then let's run the transform component, right? So run the transform component. So I'm just going to say transform. So obviously I have to import this. So from TFX components import transform. Then I'll say transform. So it needs the input, so it will be examples. So that'll be example gen dot outputs examples, and then we have schema to schema gen dot outputs schema, and then our model file. The model file would be the transform model file, right? Okay, so after doing this, we can just do what? Context dot run, and then transform. So let me run this, and then hopefully there is no error. Okay, so yeah, I will come back to this video when the run is complete. Okay, so we finished. It has finished the processing. So yeah, that took quite a while because it's just we are just using one computer, and also it's a lot of data. And um, TensorFlow Transform uses Apache Beam. It's better to use Apache Beam on a cluster of computers. So we'll look at how to speed things up on a cluster of computers or on the Kubernetes cluster in the coming weeks. Yeah, but for now, just be patient and just wait for it to finish running. So let's look at some examples of our transform data. So I'm just going to copy this um, code that we wrote to check our example gen outputs. So we are just going to use the same thing to check our outputs of the transform um, example. So we'll just go to, so this will be transform dot outputs, and then you see for the component output of transform, you have so many outputs. You have a transform graph, so we need this. We need transformed examples. We need pre-transform schema, post-transform schema, post-transform anomaly, so many things. And we do that. Before we see examples, let's just open the pipeline folder. So our transform folder has been created, and yeah, we have all these folders. If we go here, we have and then we have some file being generated. And if you go to our transform examples, so that is your split, and yeah, and then you have your TF record file also there. So let's go ahead and run this. Hopefully there's no error. And as you can see, everything has been transformed into lowercase. So all our examples have been transformed. You compare it to the first one where we have some uppercase, everything has been transformed to lowercase. So that's it for this video. We will look at other transformations in our next video. Keep watching.